Hi, and welcome to Song of the Future and the first weekly upgrade. So, my name is Josephine, and every week from now on, I will do a something that I call the weekly upgrade, and it is my gift to you. And I will post it here, and I will also post it in the community area, the Encoded community that I have on my website, and I will link that below here. And there will also be an extended version, or a deepening, if you will, of the of this, and that one you will be able to purchase. I will link that too, and there will be 3 different prices that you can choose from, so that you can it's like a pay what you can option if you would like to go deeper, and this will also be recorded every week. So I'm very, very happy that this finally has landed and arrived. It's been in the making and in the in the building from internally for many years, actually. So it's just a celebration for me to actually be able to offer this now. That's a victory in itself. And anyhow, we will go right ahead. I also want to add that if you, I won't go through, who I am, what I do, what I offer here, and how I work, because I don't like to repeat myself. I like to go, directly in. So if you want to read more of that and understand more about what I do, how I work, just go to my website. I will link it here, and you can read more about that. So then we can actually have this time to do some more important and fun things than me speaking about myself. All right. Just setting the space here, letting you all catch up to your own highest vibration, to your own embodiment of pure love, to your own origin, answering only to yourself. And the song of your being singing in harmony with every other being. Letting all the turmoil, fear, grief, the not knowing, the panic, the frustration, the deep wounds, the hopelessness, the stuckness, the shock, about what you see in the external world and what is taking place on our beautiful earth right now. Just letting all that to just be there. Just putting it aside for a moment, not denying it, not, how do you say it in English? Not putting, I don't know how you say this in English, I'm sorry. Not like putting a blind eye, turning a blind eye, I think it is, to it. Just seeing it there. If you hear some licking noise in the background, it's Lotus, my beautiful dog, who is doing her cleaning of the day. It's more like a cat cleaning her fur. It's a very important act for her. She's very precise. All right. So not rejecting, not accepting, simply opening our hearts to the potential of everything, even the ugly, ugly things that we are most fearful about. The unthinkable, the undescribable, the yes, that word. All this that seems too dark to even fathom. Because when we allow this stillness and when we access that precise setting inside us that is completely still, that point in us which embodies all of us, that single point where every piece and part of us can be embodied here. That's when it becomes possible for the pure love, the force of us, the origin of us, to actually work things out and to actually influence all that dark, all that nasty, all that ugly. And that's where you influence. Everything around you. And the ways that you, and the direction that you are here for. Okay, great. So the first weekly upgrade, this one, the topic for this week is to show up, to just show up, being you. Letting that just bring up and bring to this space whatever patterns, fears, blockages, and thoughts, emotions that comes up inside you. To show up as ourselves will have different meanings to us, of course, depending on the experience of life that we have had, what we came here with, what our ancestors have had as a relationship with that. So just letting, there's a lot of grief, a lot of persecution, a lot of events where either, your ancestors followed their hearts, followed their truth, did what they knew, showed up, and was themselves. And no one listened, no one cared. They were mocked, ridiculed, maybe killed. The price that they had to pay for showing up as themselves were just beyond belief and unfathomable. So there is a lot of fear around that, a lot of grief, a lot of anger and rage. That you now carry inside your body, your biology, your DNA. It is not what we, in many spiritual circles and teachings, we have been kind of entrained and learned so much that what we think is what we get. That you could, control things only with your mind. That is the way. I'm not saying that the mind isn't powerful, but we need to take into the picture here what has been done and what is being done to our minds all the time. The dark aspects of reality as it is now. The manipulation and the influence on our minds, on the gold in our minds. And I literally mean gold. The purity, the parts of our minds which are very powerful, which are it's like a treasure inside us that can lead us to many other treasures of us. A gateway. One of them. Some beings know in some existence in this world that aren't so visible themselves, but make themselves visible through beings that look like us, that look like humans. They know how powerful the mind can be in influencing us, in making choices, creating things, inventing things, making reality happen, and all those things. And of course also relationships. And so our minds are heavily influenced and manipulated with through technology, through media, through social media. Not to say that any of those are, that we shouldn't use them in a healthy way. But it's just important to also consider the darker aspect of what's going on, so that we don't turn a blind eye against that, deny that, and simply just turn, to the idea that if you only think positive, then nothing bad will happen, which is such an abuse to say, actually. So letting everything that I just said just find its right place in you and for you, according to your own pure love song, your own source connection, your own ability to discern, which is not happening from the mind. It's not a mental thing. So what has happened is, of course, that, through all the different aspects of society and the different value systems and education and so forth, the mind has become this, or the mental aspect of us has become this superior species, almost. But, it's only made so that it would kind of cover up the actual power of you, so that you kind of would forget, because the mind is actually very easy to manipulate these days. It's easy to influence, because it just have transferred in that way through history. Of course, this wasn't always the way, and it will not always be the way, but this is how it is right now. So we need to be aware of that, and we need to be aware of that the only reason that the mental aspect of us was kind of lifted up to this worshipped highest form of worthiness or value in the world is because it's easy to for a certain aspect of reality, a certain source, a certain species of beings that want to have this earth to themselves without us, made from love, originated from love, from that prima materia, which is actually the essence of this earth. It was a way in which they early on knew that they could infiltrate, because that is what they have done. They actually, the only reason that they could take, this is of course a very lengthy and you won't cover it all here. I want to touch this because it's here for all of you, and whatever you need to know and understand and kind of align in yourself that is happening through this encounter now, through us meeting. So it's not so much in the words that I'm saying or the precise picture that I'm giving you. I'm not giving you the whole picture, because only you have the whole picture that is the right picture for you, if you get what I mean. I'm giving you a glimpse or a couple of scenes or a couple of threads that you then will dot together into a full, complete sentence or a full, complete understanding in you on a deeper level. So, everywhere that your mental reality has been hijacked, and then kind of used as a gateway to hijack the rest of you and your life force, your energy, your purity, that pure love of you, your essence. Letting this sort itself out. So there can be a lot of reasons, of course, that why we won't show up, or why it's scary to show up, or what show up even means. But inside you, not maybe cognitively, not knowing in the sense that, a cognitive conclusion or concept, and not anything like that. It's this deep internal knowing. It's like you, and sometimes showing up can be like this, showing up on a video and, speaking to, doing your thing, whatever that is. Sometimes showing up can be being present with someone, not losing grip of your body, just being present with someone or in some event or in some place, and simply being still and simply being yourself. And by being yourself, I mean that, that resonance, that feeling of you, not turning or bending or an inch of that, just simply being still and silent. And sometimes it can be just getting out of bed in the morning, even if you want to stay under the blanket and just hope that the nightmare that we're facing can be over soon. We all have those days. And those days showing up can be just brushing your teeth, putting on some clothes, going to work, or not going to work. Drinking some water, touching your body, giving yourself the space and room to just grieve. And sometimes showing up can be just, being totally happy. It's a very strange thing I have reflected upon and observed in these times, when for us that has in some way, always sensed, always felt that this, consciously or unconsciously, but always had this sense that this would happen in our lifetime, because we're here for these times, right? Even if that's used as a kind of a cliche and overused sometimes, but we are really here for these times. And a lot of what can happen now as all this hidden control shit is being, lifted up from its hiding places and from the, literary underground to the surface, to in the view for everyone to see. Because these are things that's always been here. It's not new. You always sensed and felt that presence here on earth. Maybe not know where it come from. Maybe, try to not feel it and think that you're just insane, or that you are just born melancholic and kind of in a dark mode or dark moody. No, you of course always sensed this presence, and also because we all have this presence inside of us. It's part of it has been part of us, our biology, and intertwined in all our DNAs until now, until we start to accelerate and activate, purify, and change our DNA. Not change our DNA as in the way that this other source or this other existence here want to change our DNA, but in an organically true way, just as the earth does. So it's all happening, maybe not the way you ever dreamed or thought it would practically, but the narrative of it you always knew somehow. So there can also then be this strange feeling of both having this kind of pressure cooker inside of you, feeling that you might burst and explode because your body is literally upgrading and doing a lot of things into completely changing its form without dying, without losing the body and then being born. Not that it's changing form without that. And that's of course a great undertaking and a big thing, but also this kind of relief and this kind of ecstasy and this almost like unbearable sometimes joy inside us that we because all of this hidden is kind of, how it's been when you keep a secret and the secret is released. It's like this like big sigh that finally I can breathe. I don't carry this anymore. And that's been kind of, you have felt this kind of keeping this secret for all your life, even though it's not you keeping the secret in a sense. But the secret being there, it's just, when a secret is present, it's sticky, it's something feels off, it's not pleasant. And so we can totally feel this like new explosive ecstasy, and not bliss in this kind of spiritually blissed out disembodied thing. I'm not speaking about that, but this kind of extreme passion inside of you just being there. And it's a very new sensation for many, and especially then when we feel that, and also then seeing the chaos and the ugliness and all that in the outer world, it can feel very strange to experience all that, although all this ugly tyrannic dictator shit is going on. So I finally now just gonna make sure that all of that is recalibrated correctly for you, and that you don't, turn that down or turn away from that, because that is actually the future starting to, it must come from inside first. Everything has been turned inside out. When we have turned it, outside in again, then something can start to bloom. and flourish and, you know, be materialized, and that is the kind of the seed of that, or the first letter in that, or the first tone in that song being expressed. And we don't want to, you know, we don't want to turn that down. We don't want to tweak that song into another key or into another direction, or, you know, turning it away. We want to just be with that tone of that song and let it reverberate and let it resonate and let it vibrate and let it be there for as long as it needs to, until the next tone comes in the song. And then a word, and then a harmony, and then we kind of, you know, build from there. And showing up as that. As that tone of birth, of new birth. Of you meeting the created aspect of you. The true tale, the true narrative of that, the true history of that. Not any other spoken tale or written tale or a narrative that has been given to you through any religion, spiritual teaching, history lesson, or anything else. That's where your pure love song has found its way to work with you, as you, through you, in you, as this physical embodied form. All right. If you want to go even deeper, I think that went quite deep, but if you want to go even deeper into this, the extended version will be available, and I will put a link underneath here. So much love to you, and see you next week or in the extended.